Children, we go ahead to the next topic of this chapter, the French Revolution. France becomes a constitutional monarchy. As you know, the National Assembly completed the draft of the Constitution in 1791, and the main object of this Constitution was to limit the powers of the king or the monarch. The powers now were separated and assigned to three main branches or organs, which were a legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. You have learned this when you were learning our Indian Constitution. We have learned this. So, when the powers were assigned to these three organs of the government, then France became a constitutional monarchy. Now, the Constitution of 1791 gave the powers of law-making in the hands of the National Assembly, which was indirectly elected. Now, we look into how they were indirectly elected. Children, in France, there were two types of citizens there were active citizens. Those active citizens were people who could vote, and the other was passive citizens, the people who could not vote. Now, who were the active citizens? Okay, let us look at that. Active citizens were males, only males. Women were not allowed to vote. They should be above 25 years of age and who paid taxes equal to at least 3 days of a laborer's salary or wages. Okay. So, and who were the passive citizens? They were women, children, young, who did not pay taxes. Okay. So, let us now look into how the National Assembly was elected. So, now you know there are two types of citizens, active and passive citizens. Children, the National Assembly was elected by a group of electors who were chosen by active citizens. Now you see, out of the 28 million population that was there in France, only 4 million could vote. Okay, then those 4 million used to elect 50,000 people and a judge as well. Okay, so you can see here the 4 million elected 50,000 people, and then these 50,000 people elected 745 members for the National Assembly. Okay, something like we have in India. Okay, so the remaining men and women who could not vote were called as passive citizens, and they had no rights to vote. Now, so now you see the king also was given a veto power, and nothing would take place without the king's consent. Okay, that is why it is called a constitutional monarchy, where the constitution also keeps the powers of the king in check. And the National Assembly also used, apart from making laws, also used to keep a control on the ministers. You can see there the eye has been made, which is looking into the work of what the ministers were doing. So children, you see here the women were not allowed to vote. Who were allowed to vote? Only the men who were 25 years and who paid taxes which were equal to 3 days of a laborer's salary. Okay, they were allowed to vote, and so out of the 28 million people in France, there were 4 million only who could vote because they were 25 years of age. They elected 50,000 people. Then these 4 million elected 50,000 people, and this 50,000 elected 745 members who constituted the National Assembly. Okay. Children, you can see this is there, figure is there in your lesson. You can see passive citizens, they had no voting rights. There were about 3 million men who could not vote. There were women, children and youth below 25. Then active citizens were entitled to vote. About 4 million of the population of 28 million. They elected electors of 50,000 men. These 50,000 men then voted, and how many members? They voted 745 members to the National Assembly. Now, The king had a veto power, as I told you, and they also, apart from making laws, the National Assembly also would control the ministers, and then they would elect one judge, who would be the judiciary. A judge also was elected, would remain independent. Okay, this is somewhat like a democratic system. Got it? Have you understood this? Children, the Constitution also began with the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen, somewhat like our fundamental rights given in our Constitution. And what were the rights given to men and citizens? They were right to speech, right to life, equality before law. All these are also there in our Constitution. All were given the rights, men and women, and it was the responsibility of the government to protect the rights of the citizens. Children, majority of the people in France could not read and write, and so they used certain symbols to convey the contents of this Declaration of Rights. That means they should understand what the fundamental rights are. So you can see here is a broken chain, you can see here a bundle of rods, okay, and then you can see an eye with a triangle, and then you can see a radiating light eye. You can see a cap here, okay, then a blue, white, red, which are the national colors of France. Then you can see a winged woman and a law tablet. Now all these, with these symbols, they indicated their rights. So you can see here it's given the broken chain was a symbol of becoming free. The bundle of rods was a symbol of strength and unity. The eye with a triangle, it is a symbol of knowledge. Radiating light eye, sun's rays, keeps the cloud of ignorance. Scepter, it is a symbol of royal power. Then we have a snake biting with its tail to its arm. All these symbols are given in your textbook. You can have a look there. Okay, blue, white and red is the national color of France, that is there in their flag. And the law tablet shows that everyone is equal before law. This is like whatever is written in our Constitution. It's a book of all the laws, since many people could not read and write. So these symbols actually gave them an idea about their rights.